this room as actors. And I remember this thing that goes this way, that the world is a stage, every one of us living in the world is an actor, and of course, certainly will go away from this stage someday. So May has come to an end. Every one of you is an actor, and you played one role or the other to get to where we are today. I want to say welcome formally to the event. Housekeeping rules. Well, if you want to ease yourself, what you do is you take the back door, and immediately on your left, you have a convenience where you can ease yourself. And there are two entrances to this hall. There's one, what you have in your hand is an amended version of what you have already in your pack. Immediately after this introductory activities, our own Mary Oga, and of course our program director from UK, Mr. Bill Grant, who is the source or the owner of the initiative of the main program or intervention, will be here to set the scene. So we'll try to let us have an insight into how this vision came about, and of course what he intended to see beyond MAID. And immediately after this, we'll have a presentation which will be done by our own very Ogatunde Oderinde. And he will take us through a presentation, digging deep into the main intervention, telling us stories about things that have happened, and of course showing us some videos of testimonials from beneficiaries of the program. We'll have two panel sessions. The first panel session will deal with the topic, how business service provision has grown in the Niger Delta. And the second panel session will be experiences for commercial market actors. The first panel will be moderated by Mr. Bill Grant, and the second panel will be moderated by Ganiad H. And immediately after that, we'll be taking on questions, comments, and observations, and then we'll have a wrap thereafter, and then we'll have a launch. So this is a snapshot of what you'll be expecting on this program. So at this point, let's put hands together for Mr. Bill Grant as he steps forward to tell us evil side of the story of the mission.
Thank you very much, Fidelis. As he mentioned, the origins of the ideas of MAID came about because of Pin. Pin was already here. I was working with Pin, and we met with Dipit, and we convinced Dipit that, look, Pin's already going into the Niger Delta. If you want to come in, you can come in parallel with them. And they also agreed that using the market system development approach was the right approach. So there was a good commonality between the two. Fast forward 3 years later, and the MAID project started. Pin was already on the ground and working. And Pin was really the host for MAID as it got started. And throughout the experience, MAID and Pin have worked quite closely together. Sometimes they've competed with each other, which forces the other one to be a little bit sharper. You see that another project's doing better than you are, you ask the question, ooh, how can I do better than they? You don't want to say, how can I sabotage them? You say, how can I do better than them? And that, I think, is actually the lesson for all the companies in the room. How do we stimulate innovation and get the businesses working better? Today's event, for me, is really about, it's a celebration of the results of the last 7 years of MAID in parallel with Pin. All of you in this room have an attachment to the program. You're not just government officials, you're not diluted participants, you've been doing things, making money, expanding your outreach, trying new products, introducing new ideas, and doing more. And so today's discussion that Tunde is going to provide of the results of May. We're not getting the results of PM, they've got their own set of results. But it's not May's results, it's your results. These are things that you have done. Because we don't go out and train people ourselves. We convince you that it's in your business interest to go out and train people. And then you do it. So as you're listening to this, think about this as your success. And see where you fit in the story. Because all of you fit somewhere in the story. And so with that as just a quick introduction, Tunde is going to give us the numbers and things, but I think he's also going to try to draw you in. We want to see this as a participatory event. Some of the people I first met in May of 2011, some in April of 2011, and they have become good friends, strong partners. They've changed the way they work. A lot of businesses started very small and have grown and are doing very well. And a lot of the staff have really learned a lot. So on that note, I would like to welcome all of you. Thank you very much for coming. And hand over to Tunde.
Thank you, Bill. With that background, I would just like to add that we're here to tell our story, your story. I'll take you through the presentation by talking about our achievements, the drivers, what we did, how we tried, how we failed, and most importantly, tell our story, especially our partners, how you've adapted your actions, and how you started to take things forward. And also to tell you about how broad-based we are in terms of capturing our results and what you're delivering, and also to share some lessons. We needed to work with a strategy that we will be able to reach many people and at the same time be cost-effective in doing so. And by end of May 1, that was the footprint of May within the Niger Delta. We worked in 5 agricultural value chains. We didn't start all the value chains at the same time. They were introduced in phases. And at the same time, our partners took their time to come into the Delta. But importantly, we leverage on an important partner. We call that partner a strategic partner. And that's our relationship with Ping. Ping, I call them the barracks. They were there before me, and they will continue to be there even after me. And from the beginning, we saw Ping as our exit strategy. We collaborated on so many fronts. We did studies together. During the devaluation of the Naira, we did a study to understand the impact of the devaluation of the Naira on our value chains. We leverage on their study, so no surprise that you get to see that we work within the same value chain: aquaculture, poultry, oil palm, cassava, and we've been interacting together. Most importantly, the healthy competition that within the value chains has stimulated innovations. So, today, we're telling the story of Mate 2, but it's important to understand how we got here. So, let's talk about Mate 1. looking at the curve, the initial years on the May were typical of market systems program. It took a while for the program to begin to traction within the Niger Delta. We started with engaging with partners, most of who don't work in the Delta. And because of our approach, it was difficult for us to find people seated here to work with. So we started thinking around building relationships, looking at incentives that would attract some of our private sector partners to come into the Niger Delta. And by end of May 1, when we better align incentives with partners, we were able to reach about 250 people and increase income for over 150,000 beneficiaries within the Niger Delta. That created the rationale for H2. Because we were able to achieve that within 4 years, Davos thought, with the partners you attracted to Niger Delta, I think at the end of May 1 we had 25 lead firms and over 500 service providers. Most of you started with us from May 1. They felt that in 2 years we can double the impact. Half the price, half the year. So from May 2, we got a target of 155,000 with increased impact. And because we were very, very malleable, experimental, we allowed partners to pick where to start from. And most of our partners started from the non-conflict areas. Auckland, part of Cross River, Ondo, and some other parts of the Delta that is not within the front line. But if we said, for May 2, we need to focus on the frontline states, Akwa Ibom, Delta, Bayelsa, and Rivers states. But not just the Auckland area, we want you to go to the hard-to-reach area. And the third component, which is focused in Benin, we won't talk about that, was to look at economic activities that will help stem human trafficking and irregular migration. So, coming into May 2 with 25 lead firms and leveraging on over 500 service providers, we've been able to get that, not just at 25, but now we currently have 36 lead firms working with us within the Niger Delta. And we now have over 1,500 service providers working with us in the Niger Delta. And most importantly, within 2 years, we were able to double the outreach, up to over 550,000 in outreach, and we currently have cumulatively over 300,000 people with increased income. We did that because of you. Believing our story, seeing the opportunities within the market, and building upon our pilots. By end of December 2019, we have over 300,000 beneficiaries that have earned net attributable income because of what you've done of over 50 million pounds. One profound relationship we had with the P is the development of co-facilitators. We thought of the approach, how do we reach many people without me directly interacting in that market? And we felt not just about the reach, but how do we build relationship with organizations that even when we're no longer there, they've seen the incentives and they want to continue to do what we started. And jointly leveraging on the capital program of PIN, we've jointly been able to train co-facilitators, and jointly we've engaged close to 15 of them, helping us to facilitate some of our interventions. The next video you will see is about one of our co-facilitators that during the two supported us to implement 3 interventions, one in ag input, one in cassava, and also poultry.
Para Foundation's Executive Director, Mrs. Nenaya Enyina, talks about how they have changed their approach from direct delivery to use of the market systems approach, which entails facilitating and linking market actors in a way that triggers sustainable market changes.
Let me give you an instance of what the direct delivery did to us when we were working with southern farmers, and we knew their limitations, the challenges they have been facing that has resulted in their low yield and the disinterest, the level of disinterest in cassava production. So you would go to the communities, find farmers, teach them the improve their practices, buy fertilizer and give them. And to see what our experiences have been, it's not been fun. Because you know, it's like winning a child who is being breastfed. 2016, when we underwent a training called Making Markets for Code 4, or Market Development with Hill Foundation. It helped us to identify that our responsibilities as a development organization should be limited to linking stakeholders or market actors, so that, let's say the agro dealer finds a farmer. The farmer requires the products that the agro dealer sells, so the farmer will look for the agro dealer and buy from him, or the agro dealer will look for the farmer to sell his products. An agro dealer understands if he uses these products, it will increase his yield.
We felt that most of the partners we've engaged with initially are either directly from the input level, working with farmers, trying to look at catchment areas, the need for themselves. A lot of them based in Lagos, coming to the Delta was like a no-no. They stay at the fringes, identify one ag input company they can work with, and off they go. And also processors interested in taking things from the Delta will also find a means of working with thousands of farmers, and they realized that wasn't sustainable because of too many paperwork that you have to do. And in the course of engagement, we realized that was your process. But is there a better way to do it? We moved from that initial engagement into helping them to build the market. How can we introduce other actors who see the commercial incentive to play a particular role there? And from there, we begin to see the retailers network being developed. And also at the aggregation point, we're seeing aggregators now aggregating from farmers into processors. At the end of May 2, because what we did in May 2 was more deepening the market system and ensuring that we bring all actors together. And this is the situation we currently have on May 2. It's all about you, our co-facilitators, our service provider, going beyond what May is doing, but looking far into bringing other actors. We now have service providers, co-facilitators, engaging with equipment providers, engaging with the bank, and also bringing in service provider to offer the best value to all our partners. I say thank you again. That model, if you want to clap, please clap for them. That model for us became the way to go. If we have to do anything sustainable, anything that will last after May, then it must be a commercial venture. And we introduced a lot of that to some of our lead partners, and they've all embraced that. We now see ag inputs company working with agro dealers, lead farmers, village-based agents. And in the course of that also, we've seen some of our service providers also grow, leaps and bounds. Many of them started as one-man company, and now they have 20. And we've seen also the the progression within some of the value chain. You see people who started as fascinators, but are now service providers within the poultry value chain. We've also seen a bit of adaptation around it. We've used this model, it's worked well on fisheries, it's worked well in poultry, can we use it? And we've seen some of them move from just being MASP to becoming, into the poultry sector. And for us on Made as well, because we knew that we needed to develop quick wins, deliver quick wins in Benin for the apiculture and the ruminant things, we also use the commercial extension model to quickly get that ongoing. Using that model, we developed capacity of over 30 agricultural service providers, and we have a lot of privates that are now offering commercial extension services. The next video will also highlight one of our commercial service providers who's just been, he's been very bullish within the Delta. See the video from Momo.
As MADE continued to deepen its intervention within the market systems, the program began to change its approach from working mainly with lead firms to strengthening capacities of small and mid-scale service providers, thus building the private commercial extension service provision model. Samuel Momo, a master aquaculture service provider, has proven the efficacy of this model.
That's my business expanded from it. It was just a one-man business somewhere in Ogoni where I started, just myself. And today we have in Aquagreen, we have about 20 number staffs. These are just the direct staff. They're indirectly. We have those that are doing marketing for us who have their percentage in every advert they do. They bring us customer with fingerlings, they bring us customer with tampolines, they bring us where they also have their own small percentage and they are working for these staff. As I've said today, we are the biggest uptaker of catfish in the River State. The uptaker of catfish in the River State. And we're making it very, very attractive. That's why today there's high demand for fish. It's not available to talk to you. We are still looking for fish. That's why we're trying to see how we can get most of the young ones involved and making agriculture very attractive, reactivate some of those farms. So they come for training. All they do is training. So with all the training we do in the office, because some of these people also have the money. But our trainings will move them around because of the mobile phones. It's not that you must come to. Once we have, today we have cooperatives, we have groups of people calling us, please come and train our people. That is what it is now because of the results. River State, we consume no less than 50 to 60 million worth of fish on a daily basis. So we have a lot of farmers. I'm the secretary of all the fish farmers in River State here. This is not just the future of Nigeria, but it's the future of Africa. We all have to go back to farming. That is the next oil, and that's what I fish everywhere. Away from oil, this is the next oil.
But it's all about our business and how we've been very careful to ensure that we begin to think the way we think so that it's sustainable at the end of the day. For most projects, especially most donor-funded projects, the conventional projects, the moment the fund ceases, MADE is coming to an end, and that's the end of impact. It begins to nosedive because the Momo, the Kara don't see the incentive to continue to run this. But it's a no-no with market system development because of the relationship we worked out, because of the linkages and the opportunity you've seen in the market. We believe that the end of MADE is not end to those opportunity, but you continue to take and continue to deliver the impact. A case in point. And from there, we name them master because for you to grow means you need to bring someone into the business. So you can't be ASP and be training ASP. Some of them became master. And we grew the master till about 8 and supported them on MADE 1. And by end of MADE 1, we reached close to 7,000. Without any support to any of the MASPs, up to the end of MADE 2, we've reached over 10,000 without support. That's to tell you that we've been properly able to articulate, align incentives, open them, they've adapted, they've innovated, they've seen the business beyond where we store. And that's what we want to see. That's what market system does. Also, let's look at the market of the smoking cane. When we started with the agricultural intervention, we realized that increase in productivity means people need to save their investment. If I can't sell, I can't continue to feed. But what do? Possibly process for storage so that you can increase the shelf life. And we realized to do that means we need to introduce new technology. For people to invest in new technology, they must see it work and they must believe in it for them to invest. And because of that, we felt, yes, there is a new technology, but it's not all over Niger Delta. How best can we do that? We look for motivated players and we shared costs with them. When I mean share, it wasn't a grant thrown at partners. It was more of, I'm willing to, but hey, there's a risk here. What if? And we said we can partner with you for you to help us demonstrate that it can work. And by end of May, when we worked on the use of our grants, technology adoption grant, there were 87 of such that had been delivered, and into May 2, some of them that benefited from our grants but was not delivered there, we now have about 97 that benefited from our tag. But it's interesting to hear that the fabricators have continued to adapt the smoking cane, they've continued to market and sell the smoking cane, and beyond the 97 that benefited from tag, we have over 256 smoking cane that did not attract any funding from me. So, the next slide is going to help us just look through the gains and what we've been able to, through you, achieve on some of our interventions. Just like I said, that was our footprint on May 1. A lot of partners started from the non-conflict zones. Not many were interested in the hard-to-reach areas. And for us to double our impact, half the money, half the time, we needed to come up with a strategy. So for the market development, we came up with a strategy. One, don't change the winning team. We continued within the same intervention. We knew that we would be able to reach many poor and women. We changed our strategy in addressing the issues of conflicts within the Niger Delta. And we thought, what are the best people to approach? Our co-facilitators, our service providers. And jointly with PIN, we intensified our strategy to work with NGOs, not just from another region, but people that are within that region that can help us get to a hard-to-reach area. And here are our results. We've classified the results and the changes into 3 categories. Within the inputs delivery, we've now seen input company using that value proposition approach of marketing and reaching and building their markets. A lot of them now embrace GAP, which is the good agricultural practices, they set up demo plots, they work in the hard-to-reach area, in the oil palm. We've now seen a lot of companies embracing the BNP. We've seen strengthened relationships between actors. Before, there was more of the input company dropping things for the agro-retailer and every man for himself. But now we're seeing that relationship up to the village legends, where the agro-retailer is working through lead farmers and also that, and we're beginning to see that interest. And also we've seen companies bringing in new products into the markets. Companies not working in oil palm now bringing in products because they've seen that opportunity within the oil palm sector. Also within the technology, we've seen adaptation, we've seen SSP fabricators adapting the SSP, some are also fabricating strippers to bring efficiency into that system. We've also seen partners continue to demonstrate the opportunities within the harvesting technology for the oil palm. But most importantly, we've seen the growth in the commercial extension services. We now have agro dealers that are extending beyond the confines of their area, opening up branches, and also working through village-based agents. And we've also seen them incorporating the enterprise curriculum so that people understand the benefits and they can troubleshoot. And we've also seen BSP innovating and taking it beyond. A combo, correct package. We work with this, but BSPs are now saying, we can supply you input, we can link you to the market, we can help you source financing, and for us, that's the way to go. So, within the agricultural induce, we will give it out to all our service providers who have helped our lead firms to at least also take this beyond what we did on May 1 into the hard-to-reach area. You can see that by end of May 2, we've reached over 97,000 people. And for us, this is where we need to celebrate ourselves. For the agro retailers, for the sprayers, for the village-based agents, we've, through our work, been able to increase income of our partners up to about 9 million pounds within the agricultural cluster. We have one of our partners, video, who is going to tell you about their experience and how things have evolved. I think we have our experience.
Before the intervention of Maize Harvest program, I discovered that the knowledge of use of agro inputs was very poor. Farmers in Rivers State were not really using agro inputs in their farming practice. In fact, we discovered that they have very poor knowledge of farming practice. So as a result, we decided to venture into training on these farmers on good agronomic practice. We identified a particular crop that we feel that the farmers use as their cash crop, commercial crop. Unlike the upland part of Rivers State, we discovered that cassava is basically their cash crop. So we decided to come up and train them on weed control, spacing, cassava varieties, how to control disease in the cassava farm, and there's so many other things we consider as being a barrier to them in their production. So compared to what we missed when we started the program and now, I say that there is shifts in the method of farming in some of the rural communities that have benefited from our training. Initially when we started, they were not actually using agro inputs. But now, they have started using it. We can see improvement, even in terms of our sales, in terms of the demand. Before the commencement of this training or this intervention program, there was nothing like spray service provider. It is as a result of the training that gave rise to what we call spray service provider. Because of the high demand and the use of agrochemical, this crop of people come out to render the service to the farmer. It wasn't operational. So the program has helped in creating employment. The impact of the positive, both on the side of the farmer, because one, there is reduced cost of labor. One, their crops safe. They now know the diseases of crops. They now know how to handle it. Then, spray service provider, every day, they keep increasing in their number in these various communities.
Agro dealers such as Shola Ige help ensure that agricultural inputs and spray services get to farmers within demonstration plots set up across the Niger Delta through their network of agro retailers.
The maize arrangement has, made us to come across more farmers. So there's an increase in the patronage, especially we agro dealers. You can't be everywhere at the same time. So some of our retailers are invited to the farmers so that we can have a demonstration plot in their area. We select communities to have demonstrations. So these micro retailers and farmers are invited to the demonstration plots, and it's usually a source of assistance to the farmers. They go to such place to see how things are done, and they now replicate or adopt such things in their demonstration.
We've also seen the evolution. Starting our work with 3 partners, we now have partners crowding into the sector. We now have partners breaking bulk. A lot of them started off with products that are like 1 liter, but not fit for purpose or economically efficient for backyard poultry keepers who are our target audience. And we've seen them breaking bulk, and we now have some products in smaller usable sachet. And we've also seen partners taking the model of working with smallholders to other parts of the country. What of note is how we've worked through our partners to build the service providers within the poultry sector. A lot of the partners started off with the village level vaccination, and when they realized that vaccination by itself it's not sustainable, then they began to develop and evolve, and that has become not just vaccination, but we have them as distributors offering other services to other value chain, and at the same time selling other products. At the end of May 1, we had about 101 village level dealers, but now we currently have over 230 village level dealers working and servicing, vaccinating and selling products within the Niger Delta. We also have a snippet from one of our partners in the poultry value chain.
At the beginning, MAID followed a lead firm approach. In its poultry intervention, for instance, MAID engaged with and provided the commercial rationale for veterinary pharmaceutical companies, VPCs, to begin to serve smallholder farmers in the Niger Delta, who before this time were either unserved or underserved. Hannah Wright's National Sales and Marketing Manager x-rays their experience.
We only do businesses in commercial cities. We don't go into rural areas. We don't go into rural communities. We don't do business with backyard poultry farmers. We're only concerned with farms that had that were big. We're not doing all these small businesses. We left that to our big distributors to handle all those small communities. But when we came up, ourselves with our big distributors, we went into those rural communities. We developed village level dealers. We developed vaccinators in those areas. So the business we made actually expanded our horizon in those rural centers.
With Zygosis, the story was not different. They worked with large distributors to get their products into the markets. Their product offerings were not suitable to the needs of smallholder farmers, but their approach changed when they began working with MAID.
How we were working before was that we didn't want to talk to too many people, so our products leave Lagos and go to major distributors, principally in the cities and the state. Whatever they did with the products were none of our business, as long as they sell. So we were not seeing what was happening at the bottom, and we were not bothered. So, but with the MAID intervention, we now have to look below the top, and that was what was different. When we started the MAID intervention, we then found out, in our case, that a number of our products were useful to smallholder farmers, but were not applicable to their situation. A case in point would be a product like Anadrolxil and Fluoxacina in this picture, which is an antibiotic that sometimes farmers need to deal with issues. And then you present a 1 liter presentation, which is too much for a backyard farm. So we have to start thinking of how to make the products available to them in quantities that they could afford, or quantities that are applied to their need.
As the intervention evolved, the VPCs saw the need to build retailer capacity by establishing a network of village-level vaccinators and village-level dealers who provided a wider range of extension services and access to a wider range of inputs and products. Here, Mrs. Oluwa Bukola Oni.
I started vaccination when Zygosis approached me and said, like, what are you doing in Akure? I said, nothing. I'm still looking for government job. And she was like, you can do vaccination. I said, yes. Okay, why don't you get a place and start? I said, if I get a place, will you equip me? And he said, yes. And that was how I got a place. I got a single shop here. And then he gave me products, he gave me vaccines. Then they had this 50 doses vaccine that he just gave me, like, when I use it, if I'm able to build some, I should pay him. And that was how we started. And 80% of farmers in Ondo State, they are backyard farmers. And so when I tell them that they are and everybody knows the minimum vaccine you see is 100 doses, and you have farmers that have 10, 15. Like, okay, I have 50 doses of vaccine and it's thermostable. Can I administer it for you free of charge? I'm like, okay, if it is free, why not? And so I'll go there, I'll administer the vaccine, and then they see that there's difference when they vaccinate and when they don't vaccinate. And so that way, and of course, people will always prefer when you do them good. So they will tell their other neighbor, like, so where? So now that I started getting clients. Then I do the business alone. Now I dare not try it. I have about 4 staff now. That's to show you the workload that we have now.
Who were eager to run with the government policy of HQCF inclusion in production of flour. And through that, we also introduced them to work with agro dealers and clusters of farmers for them to be able to have their stock. But in the course of working on productivity with our partners, we realized that STEM became a big issue. And we leveraged on the basics program of the IITA, working through the Humudike closer to the region here. And through that, we built a network of master village STEM entrepreneurs who also have trained several village seed entrepreneurs. And towards the end of May 1, we were only 59 VSC. And in the course of May 2, we currently have over 1,000 VSCs in various locations within the Niger Delta, almost the 9 states of the Niger Delta, that are now multiplying stems, training farmers, and also selling stems to farmers. Let's hear from one of our partners in the cassava sector.
It worked with Minosa to create an outgrowth scheme where clustered farmers of between 30 to 40 members each were linked to her cassava factory for supply of cassava roots for the additional yields and increased profitability anticipated after putting the good agronomic practices GAP into use.
A body like me came. They started asking questions. Why am I not functioning with all this equipment you have? I told them how to. They came more than 2-3 years asking me questions. Until 2015, when I was invited by me to Calabar, they told me to gather farmers that they were coming to form clusters for me. I was resistant. But they came, really. They introduced me to Candle, they introduced me to Context. And they are asking me questions, a report. I put on my thinking down. What do I do to this cassava that these farmers are producing? That was how I came up with for food production. I produced, I distributed it to my friends and families. They ate it, they liked it. Then the packaging became a problem. I designed a packaging. I went around Nigeria. They told me they don't work with SMEs with the package that I had. I worked on that close to 2 years before I was able to gather financial strength to package, to do the packaging from China. So, as I entered the market with that package, I saw that it was so attractive that people want to find out what is inside. And that's what gave me breakthrough. They came to wake up the giant that was sleeping inside of me.
In addition, the MAID program helped create a commercially improved STEM distribution network where master village seed entrepreneurs are providing trainings to village seed entrepreneurs who in turn are multiplying improved STEM varieties and providing information on its economic benefits to smallholder cassava farmers around the region in a bid to boost yields.
Before my encounter with maize, I've been using local variety of cassava stems. I don't know anything about improved variety of cassava. As because of my business, I met a maize field office I called Dallas, who told me about the Master Village Entrepreneur Training coming up. They were exposed to so many things on cassava, like good agronomic practices, GAP, agro-business, biofortified cassava, that is provitamin A cassava, and other things, and stem multiplication. I've trained 320 VSCs since after that training at Omaha, and 1,100 farmers in River State and Abia State.
One of the things we worked with, and she's still continuing producing products and adapting her product. Thank you, madam. Nice to see you here.
I have my things over there. And yes, my position paper is there. That cassava is next to oil.
Thank you, madam. Within the oil palm sector, processing was a big challenge. A lot of processors, women processors, won't break even until they sell all the other things, the kernel, the emulsions, whatever we call it, for them to break even. And we realized that processing was a challenge. And through our work with NIFOR, we were able to scale down an improved machine into what we call the SSP, Small Scale Processing Equipment. We've seen an adaptation of that, and we've also seen the introduction of good harvesting and improved harvesting technology, because more women, because of the SSP spreading across the city and the region, are now asking for more fruits. With that also, we've seen a lot of farmers embracing the BMPs, and some of our partners also embracing PMPs. We've also seen a lot of inputs companies that are now bringing in new products for the BMPs. Companies like Mastercare are already bringing inputs that will help improve productivity. We've also sold within the region. We have the story from one of our fabricators of SSP and a commercial miller as well.
To address SPE processing technology to 0.5 tons a day, designed to meet the needs of small-scale millers.
From 2 to 3 machines in a day, we made over 40 within a space of time. And this is the handbook of made. Not only that we sold, but we were exposed. We actually employed a lot of labor and created labor for so much people. Because the thing was so much that you can imagine what you have in 1 year, you are making it within 6 months, a whole lot of touch machines. What actually made it was not that they just brought us into this, but they exposed us, they made us actually to have that common understanding with the farmers. That is, what we were doing before was larger and gigantic equipment. But we said, no, do it to the affordability of these people. And actually it was very good.
It was established that the technology could improve oil extraction rates significantly, from between 5 to 10% upwards to 14%, and lead to improved efficiency at the mills.
The sterilizer is very good. With the use of it, you can get more oil than using the food method that we used to have. When I saw the equipment digesting and pressing at the same time, I made sure that I have it. So they supported me and I have it. And the equipment is very good. And within 30 minutes, I can finish 1 ton of palm fruit, which will surely give me 1 drum of oil from the sterilizer I have. With the help of this new equipment, I can now produce more oil, whereby I can sell it, I sell it, and I get new equipment like the scraper, which is very, it used to take me 3 days before I can strip 1 ton of fruit. Now I can use just 1 hour to strip 1 ton of fruit.
The upgrading of processing technology has stimulated demand for the fresh fruit bunches, FFBs. This in turn has stimulated the uptake of new harvesting technologies such as the mechanical adjustable machine, MAH, and the Malaysian knife. Henry Edidi, a Malaysian knife promoter, has this to say.
I represent Wisdom Ventures in Nigeria, and what I'm holding here now is Malaysian knife, popularly known as Malaysian knife in Nigeria. The English name is Siku. And this knife, we use it for oil palm harvesting, for tall palms. You attach pole and an aluminum pole on this knife, and you top very high to any extent you want to harvest. When they approached me, they introduced a lot of farmers to me. So I know many of the farmers through me. And when they introduced them, we went there, we do some demonstrations, and we started buying. That's how meat comes a very good impact. Because of meat, my sales not decreased. I'm not started selling more.
We've also seen that a lot of our MESPs have added the NIAC, which is the Nigerian Agricultural Enterprise Curriculum, embedded into the pond management training. For our results to be broad-based, for some of our service providers, with our pains around how do we target more women, how do we get women involved, some of our private sector partners, in our relationship with you, we will always encourage that we focus on improving the role of women. It's because it's part of the result and change we'd like to see. And because of our analysis, we realized that there are 3 constraints: underrepresentation of women in our target value chain, limited source of productive resources, and also the social-cultural constraints, limiting them from getting involved in activity. And through you, our partners, we've been able to deliver our results. You can see from the result of May 2, we've reached 52% women in our results. Also of note is, why do you measure? Most of the time when we ask for numbers and we ask for the reach and also ask you about what's changing in the market, it wasn't just for Mage to report our results, but we want you to see that as a tool. From what we have here, we take the results we get from you and we put it on here for us to see what's missing. We want to see how many people we've reached with training, we've created access for, and at the same time, I think it will be interesting to you as well to know, beyond the training, how many people are adopting, because that's where the market is. That's where you sell more. And at the same time, why are you in business? Because you're changing the lives of people. We also need to understand how many people are benefiting as well. The next slide is going to show you a bit of how we have used the data we've collected from you. If you see the region, the blue dots for the SSPs, the spread of palm oil SSP within the Delta. On May 1, the blue dots helped us to know where the SSPs are. And by May 2, we had to work on areas where there are deficits. And through this mapping, we realized that we had to intensify a bit of effort in areas of comparative advantage or low SSP presence. So, 6 years we've made working with partners, conjunction with PIN. What have we learned from it? What have we learned as partners, as a program? I can say that, and you will all agree with me, that applying commercial approaches is sustainable, especially in a zone like the region Niger Delta. You will also agree with me that working with you gave us that license. There are some parts of the region I've never been to, But looking through the data, I can very confidently say, yes, we have beneficiaries in some area. We're able to achieve that because of you, because of us leveraging on your network. What else can we learn? We will definitely fail. It's not everything that we will plan and will yield the results. But the most important thing is the learning we take out of what we've done and the innovation that comes out of it. For some of the interventions, we started with a certain entry points and realized that wasn't working. We jointly went back to the table, reanalyzed, realigned incentives, and we move on. And I think it's a learning that we need to take forward on all our initiatives. How do we use that adaptive learning to move things forward? Also, you will see that we've used targeted support to get some interventions ongoing. We've worked out output grade-based grants with partners, just for them who want to buy down the race to come into the Niger Delta. And the moment they saw the commercial opportunity, they built their relationship with our men. And for some of our partners, you've seen us created that linkage. A lead farm is coming in and we're handing over the lead farm to a service provider or to a co-facilitator to go into the Niger Delta. That also helped to get things done for them to implement their strategy in the Niger Delta. And again, I'll say, because of our partnership with you, we can say that we've built the market system, ecosystem within the Niger Delta. Thank you so much. I think this is the right thing. So, as we exit, what's our parting gift to our partners? Maid is exiting. Possibly we've been the watchdog. They don't like us to think about money from donor. We should be commercial, but the truth is, let's still be careful of donor. We can at the same time still engage and say, yes, this is good, but this is not going to happen. A case in point, we've had some of us tell our story regarding how they've worked on other projects, paid for by a donor, but 2 years down the line, not 1% of the population trained are still in that business. So, donor fund is good, but think about the way forward. Good collaboration, we've seen a lot of us come together in Delta states, in Ondo State. We know that we have service providers, co-facilitators working together, collaborating. And also we've seen the good competition. Oh, you're doing this in this area, I can take that innovation and do in another area. We want to see more of that happen. And most importantly, we've seen us building our team. Let's continue. We have ASPs, associates coming in, becoming ASPs. Let's see how we take them from just going with us, but let's begin to put them into other areas, build a team for growth, and also for effectiveness in our service delivery. And importantly, let's be inclusive in our targeting. We're doing it, but few women are involved. How do we focus on bringing and opening that opportunity for women? We're doing it, but youths are not part of it. How do we get people in there? And just the same way service providers are adapting, moving from one sector, adding another sector, I think that resilient strategy needs to be introduced into the way we work. People are doing fisheries, can you bring other things? People are in cassava, can you bring other things? Because one, if you focus on crop alone, one flood can take you back to poverty. You focus on livestock, one outbreak can take you back to poverty. And that is why we're saying, think about the resilient strategy in working with our relationship with our partners. Thank you so much.
Mr. Samuel Mo, Master Agriculture Service Provider. Mr. Michael Mo. Also being welcome, Mr. Wale Binai, Business Service Provider. our very own precious Abuna of In Foundation. Let's put our hands together for them. The moderator for this session is Mr. Bill Grant. Let's put our hands together for him. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fidelis. It's a real pleasure for me to be moderating this panel because I think, and we will have them talk about it, but one of the most amazing things to me, and I work on programs all over the world that focus on doing this kind of work. And from a variety of things that Dan May have done.
Disconnected.
We were working with good local service providers, and we were getting results. And that was really good. But then at some point, we realized that these service providers weren't just working in one sector. They were working across sectors. I would hear them talking to each other, one who was working in poultry, and one who was working in smoking kilns, and the poultry person critiquing the smoking kiln. Technical approaches, technical tools to them. And so I would like to get perhaps Wally and Momo to very briefly say what your business is. And what was the first exposure you had to market systems development in the Niger Delta? And how has your business changed?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Cat Consulting. Well, primarily, I'll provide different solutions to businesses, business management tools, software, hardware, processes. And early enough, we discovered that most businesses we provide those tools to, they actually were not ready to take on those tools to scale. They don't even have structure. They don't have structure, they don't have manual processes that can make them repeat the basic little things they produce repeatedly over time. So scaling was not really what they needed at that point in time. So we had to go into enterprise development, building their capacity, letting them understand what they need to put in place to structure the organization and having good customer relationship, providing and producing good quality products and services. Then we were able to now get to the point where, okay, fine, they're ready to scale, but we do not have the resources. The resources in terms of finance, in terms of competence, and of course, the market. So when we were on our own doing our best, we could manage just a few number of clients, at least those that could pay. The bigger companies were paying, we're also investing that in the smaller companies by providing free training and taking them to market, getting them to get finance, funding, and then they are able to patronize products and services well. So it's more like a closed network. But when we got in contact, in partnership with Bain and Ping, that was a big game changer because we were now more confident to take on several hundreds rather than looking at 10s, 20s, 30s. Then we're also confident to engage big stakeholders who could also look at issues and create interventions or build guidelines that favor reaching out to the low-level micros and smaller businesses. Then also, because there are formal ways of doing things, through business linkages, even knowing the current status levels of each of these small businesses, we're able to build them up, provide them, create scope of interventions, leveraging various DSP tools like picking sound companies, company diagnostics. Because the truth is, if you have to grow a business, you really need to know what are the baseline information about them, what is the current situation, and where will they be. So the relationship has really, really helped to scale us beyond what we could normally do on our own.
Okay, thank you very much. Building on your comment about the picking sound companies and building strong businesses, Precious, what did PIN do on that? I mean, how did you knew that was a problem? that the local consulting firms didn't know how to analyze businesses. What did you do?
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, as it's typical for market system development projects, when you encounter a constraint, an issue in the marketplace, you begin to actually really look at the issues, go deep to identify the major constraints. And sometimes the issues may not be within the core market, it could be, but probably what you're seeing in the core market is actually a symptom of the issues. They might be in the supporting market. And so when we looked at the sectors we're working in and the businesses we want to support, the major issue that we found was with the services market. And when we looked at the services market, we found that a lot of them didn't have the capacity to actually begin to understand, diagnose, assess the companies that they wanted to support. So there were business service providers, there were different sort of service providers in the region, but they were offering real value-added services. And you can only offer value if you understand the issues your client is facing. So you're targeting your capacity building activities to address those issues. And so we had business service providers that were targeting donors. The relationship with the SMEs was basically not commercial. The commercial relationship was with the donor organizations, while the relationship with the SMEs was basically philanthropic. And so we needed to build a capacity to be able to really understand the SMEs that they are meant to be targeting, utilize the right skills, tools and skills to understand their businesses, and then profile the right solutions. So that was what we did, having a good understanding of that space, identifying the issues and tools and capacity building activities that needed to be done to bring the service providers to that level where they can begin to provide value-added services to the businesses. And it's by providing this sort of services that SMEs, the business will begin to grow, and then will begin to also create jobs and bring about that sort of development we want to see in the Niger Delta region.
Thank you, Precious. Momo, you were the first service provider who worked with me in aquaculture. Tell us about that experience and what was the logic, what was the thinking that was going on in your head, and how did it actually progress? Because we learned as much from you as you learned from us. I'd like to hear what you think that you learned from us and how it changed the way you do business.
Okay, thank you. First and foremost, I will thank God for where we are today, down the lane 7 years ago. I actually studied fisheries and I came in to serve in the States and managing my small farm somewhere around the States. I always believe in agriculture. I believe that's the future for this country. I know that the oil will finish one day, but farming will continue. Made me actually in the farm, and I've been training, but not this same way, the way I move crowd today. Just 2 or 3 persons, maximum 5 persons. And I was targeting a small boys who were ready to pay me 50,000 at times, 60,000 for the training. So I wasn't looking at the small. And then we had a bigger challenge that period in the States, because I can tell you that 90% of the borehole that we have across the Niger Delta, River State in particular, I can tell you they are bad water. So we don't have good water. You see that people move fishing from the west down here, especially the sailors. So it was a big challenge that we don't have where to go test water, run our water quality analysis. So I think I complained that, and jokingly, keep from being help, I have access to get it. Can I bring down my training cost? I remember that language. And I said, okay. But I want to thank God today. You see, we in the Niger Delta, and initially it was very difficult, because we don't believe in paying for trains. As a matter of fact, you have to pay them to come for training. That is our mentality. But we have hardworking people if given that opportunity and better enlightenment. So we started that training by running 6 months production cycle Not what we do today. Today we have various packages. We are packaged for 2 weeks, we are packaged for 1 month. Maximum we do now is 3 months. And today a lot of people are calling us for that training. We move our training from place to place. As I talk to you today, in Rivers State alone, we have trained over 90 groups of farmers in Rivers State. In other words, I have over 10,000 farmers on my platform, and we are still recruiting a lot of people because of that. And today we are scale up, not just fish. We are doing poultry, we are doing piggery, we are doing snail, and even the fish. When we are processing, even the head, we do filleting, teach them how to do filleting and packaging. The head is the dried egg, how to crush it, which is the better source of calcium for strong bone. We teach them all that. Even the fish eggs, we try process them, grind them into powder, which we advise that in every 2 to 3 pack of Indomie, you have a teaspoon of that egg. The egg is the complete fish, very rich to that. Even toddlers for the baby food, that can also as well be. We do fish kilishi today too as well. Fish cracker, fish chin-chin, all these are what barbecue and all that. So lots to it.
How many other companies have grown like you? I mean, you started as one person, and then you added staff, and you trained the staff. How many other companies are there doing the same kinds of services you are doing?
We have somebody like him, we have somebody like Develop You, we have like most of the MESP, we have Veroni, we have Kingdom in Aquaria, Kingdom in Baeza, we have I think a couple of us, 7 to 8 of them I know that we interact doing the same set of business.
Okay, so they've been copying models that they've seen work in other places. Wally, coming back, you were trained in how to do the business linkage, business assessment. What did you end up doing with that training at the end? Because you said it was very good, it was a game changer. What did you do with it? Okay, first and foremost, the business linkage program, like I said, was a game changer, was to lay a proper foundation to scale. So what we did was to cascade the knowledge, create our own replica in smaller companies, business support providers, build them, train them. We were trained, we've gone through several training with him, and of course, they also gave us that authority and support to develop others like us. So what did we do? We started doing it commercially, and then when we were able to lay that foundation, the next thing was to actually take the business linkage vertically up. You know, we looked down to the foundation, then we moved up, engaged bigger stakeholders that were ready to look at the target markets, that the smallholder farmers and the small businesses, so that once they provide those critical things they need, like funds, then the business support providers will be there to mentor, monitor, support, and give them good feedbacks. So that was how we were able to do one side of it, which is the access to competence coupled with access to finance. Then access to markets. Now we're able to. Let me ask you, you said you trained other service providers? Yes. For a fee? For a fee, yeah. They pay. Yeah. Was it easy to get that? No, in fact, it's another episode on its own. We did an advert and we put it was going to be 50,000 per person, but PINs came in and we reduced it to 25,000. Now we advertised. And we said within 2 weeks, if you pay, you get a discount of 10,000, meaning you pay 15,000. 7 people paid within that 2 weeks. 3 days to the event, we had only 7. We were not going to cancel the event. We now said, okay, fine. If you're interested and you know the value you're going to get from this, come, do not pay. You pay us when we give you businesses that transpire from our relationship. You pay us back. That's post-payment. Then we have 48 people attending. Yes. So creative funding. Yes. So creative. Yes. Very good. We put the value first before we got the value from them. Precious, what do you think of the development? I mean, you are living here. This, in many respects, is your baby. The business service provider. What are you most proud of? And what are your observations for how they are advancing, progressing, and growing?
I mean, it's been a very fulfilling experience. And firstly, I mean, we have been able to achieve our objective, which was to build a crop of quality local service providers that can offer good quality, value-added services to small enterprises, farmers, SMEs in different sectors, and we have seen that happen. You know, what we didn't even really anticipate that is even happening is that these guys will begin to replicate themselves, and that they will begin to get better structure as businesses, to grow as master service providers, to actually see them working in different sectors, deploying the tools, adapting the tools in different sectors. This is happening, and they're affecting many farmers, impacting businesses. It wasn't something that we originally envisioned that would take that wide a scale. Of course, we knew it could, but the way it is happening, I would say that I'm most proud of it. And not just that the business service providers are working in the business linkages program. They are working in the various sectors where we're working in. They're impacting and work with the poultry, the technical service providers, aquaculture service providers, the poultry services providers, agro dealers. They are all collaborating. And we've also seen some of the technical service providers buying into the business services market, trying to gain the knowledge, because it's basically the same principle, right? It's service provision. So if you learn to offer a particular type of service, you can add all the services into your senior services. And we've seen that happen. And so we've seen them learning from each other, and then that is actually helping to grow the entire sector, the Niger Delta, and improving the sustainability of our work.
Thank you. I mean, it's not just the sustainability, it's expanding. I think you've been tracking the numbers of clients that they have. Momo, I mean, you mentioned the figure 10,000. But if we go back to 2014, September 2014, when you did your first demo pond, how many clients did you have at that point? Maybe. So you grew from 100
to about 10,000. That was what they rise to even when they were having the local election here. Because I have actually all these farmers around me who should go in for the, I put it because of I was to be secretary of the fish farmers in the state, but every farmer has to vote for me. And as I talk to you today, I'm the national treasurer of the Catfish Farmers and Allied Fish Farmers Association of Nigeria, by the grace of God. So I want to thank God for meat. I really want to thank God for meat. See, our people, there is still no business like agriculture. I will keep telling them, but to see how we can get the young ones involved. Now they are seeing reality. I have built confidence in them. That confidence in them, seeing results. It's not, as a matter of fact, I remember then, I keep telling you I'm not a foreign man. And I'm here, we'll see how we can also patronize indigenous feeds made here in this country. So they don't believe, then it has to be foreign feed, everything has to be foreign. Come on, it's not about the feed. It is about the techniques, the management. Sometimes they're overfeeding or they're underfeeding, they don't know what right thing to do, why they don't make profit. You see a lot of people complain that it's not profit in agriculture. But today, the number of percentage closer farms in the state today is not like before. So people are not seeing results, the best way to do it. And we're using our own methods and they're making a lot of profit. So that gives a lot of, not just that, we also guarantee them of the market. We assure them of the market. Most of our participants today, because we have the name, the fish multiplier, we're also producing our seedlings. Where we also give to some of the small farmers on credit. Yes, we give them some fingerlings to start off, we follow them up, and then we buy us to do all that. Today we have relationship with big companies. 3 of my ASB, like CHI, the reps for CHI, the rep for Vital Fish Feed, the River State today, they were once my ASB. The feed company as well approaching me today because of the pool of farmers that I control. Can you give us somebody to help us? 3 of my feed MESB today, they are their 6th rep in the city. Oh, we are growing.
Good, so they are your former staff are
My former staff.
innovating and they are competing with you. Yeah.
No, not really competing with me. They had a better offer and I let them go. Some of them were offered an official car, yes, to be as well. And I will stop them from growing. But they still come back to us. Because they only need the farmers. They need the care to be able to market their feed. So that is the kind of relationship that we are.
Yeah, great. Wally, you have really kind of been at the core of a network of DSPs to train them. I'm sure many of them now look to you as kind of a senior. How many people in your network, and what do you see as the future in the Niger Delta? How many service providers do you think will start to go? What kinds of business will they do, which will actually drive more growth in the Niger Delta?
Thank you. Well, there's so much opportunity in the business service provision, and now is actually the beginning of the journey. Why do I say so? Before now, service provider efforts were not really recognized by most funding organizations. They just feel push money out, find a way to get it back. But we've been able to also make them realize that when you give someone a loan, your interest should not be to collect the loan back, but let it be that the loan did and achieved its objective by making sure the money was turned over. People were employed to do operations, activities that took more people off the streets, make people to begin to be employed. Then you are able to pay the money back, not by selling your properties. Now, who makes it happen? It's not the SME. A 1 week training will not make you an entrepreneur, even 3 months training. So you need mentors. Mentors, you can hide them under the name business support providers, and they're not going to mentor for free. They will mentor at a cost. The good news is now, the funding organizations have now adopted that model fully and even as a line item in the loans service providers fee.
When you say funding organizations, which ones? I mean, not,
okay, let me be specific.
Not USA.
No.
Which one?
Okay, CBN is the biggest funding organization, but they have the biggest interventions. So, and they have adopted the model. Now, CBN also at some point discovered that they can't actually deal directly with the grassroots entrepreneurs. So they decided, they changed the strategy to move to NISA Microfinance Bank, who has 2 mandates: disburse and recover back. And NISA was quick to adopt the model we just mentioned. And the model is you get the right people recommended by training organization called Entrepreneurial Development Centers, EDIs, and then recommend, then we fund. To recommend, they've adopted every bit of thing that made and provided as tools. Because when you are recommending, you are not recommending because they are family members, you are recommending because they have capacity to pay back. And they also have that willingness, which most of the time you can measure. Then you take them through a process, diagnostics. The loan application is the result of the diagnostics you did, not on the fact that the guy says, I need 10 million naira. So then, you also map them to market when they get this loan, so that when they start producing, that's not when they start struggling. You could have your warehouse filled up with products after funding and you're not selling, you can pay back. So those models were adopted by NISA, Microfinance Bank. And now, by February 1st, the BSP platform will be launched, whereby they are now saying, BSP, if you have any form of services to offer to businesses, irrespective of the sector, please just go and put your information there. Then they will start recruiting. Then they will start training nationwide.
Good, thank you. I would like to open the floor to questions. Does anybody have any questions for the panelists? Or anything they would like to say? I think Fidelis has a mic. Give a mic. Yeah.
Do we have questions in the room? Do we have questions?
My name is John Igbo. No one aware this kind of Igbo is a Christianized Igbo.
I'm from Akwa Ibom State. I'm a farmer. I want to reiterate my question to the Momo man. He looks like a real fisherman. Please, Momo, to what extent have you gone now that you have succeeded in your state, producing fish and training our young people? And as far as you know, Niger Delta is comprised of 9 different states. How many states have you been able to cover to make sure what is going on there in your state and maybe a few other states is going on maybe on all the Niger Delta states? You are quite well with you.
I think it's part of our plans this year. I've been to Akwa Ibom, was trained in Eket, trained over 60 farmers in Eket. In Ekotekpene, I've trained over 200 farmers in Ekotekpene. In Kono, I think about 50 or thereabout on Horror Road. Somewhere in the State University, what do you call it, the name of that community. I did similar thing, but I think there have been demands. Because at the moment, I don't think we really have somebody. I know, but I must say she's Gloria, she's in Calabar. We don't really have a very strong hand in Akwa Ibom. I'm aware. So presently, Dr. Fish is there. Israel, he's there. We've been discussing this. But I think you're going to see more of us this year, by God's grace.
And just to answer that, I know that Maid and Pain, have trained service providers, aquaculture service providers, poultry service providers across the various commodities that we work in, that are working in all states in the Niger Delta. So in addition to Momo's expansion plans, there are already Maid, Pain trained service providers working in your state. Look around, you'll find them.
Okay, go ahead. Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Ezekiel from Pim.
I don't think you're audible.
My name is Ezekiel from Pim. My question is to Dr. Fish. Okay, my question is open to the best answer for this. And it is, why do we have very few women in as BSPs? What is the major problem that women are not coming up to act as business service providers? I haven't seen that most of the businesses we are talking about, women are so many in there. Like in aquaculture, catfish production, we have a lot of women in there in it. And when you look at cassava, some aspect of the value chain, we have a lot of women. And many other things. What do you think is the main problem? Why women are so few as service providers? You have it.
Thank you. Is it true that there are very few women? Yeah, or for anything.
In general, I'll say
One.
Let's take aquaculture, for example.
Most of the few women I've encountered that are interested in doing this same thing, they are married. They can move. I move. Down to the creek, I moved. And those who know me, I penetrate anywhere. I'm taking a lot of risks. I can remember the second demo
in Woji, a maid staff was
there when the bad boys came shooting. That was the second demo. I would have been discouraged. But never, I was examining. So there are places that the women can't get there. But at the moment, I have a lot of female ASPs. As I talked to you yesterday from NYC, they've sent me 3 of us to our grade, working with us, 2 female and a male. So I'm trying to see how, with the young ones, they can really work. That has been my challenge with the married women. That graduates, of course, in fisheries, some are with me, but go to the places
Madam. Sorry, Bill, somebody out as well.
It's true, but I'll just share a little then say the way forward. Truly, for example, when we did rehabilitation to rehabilitate some ex-militants some years back, and to really make it effective, rather than training, it was called training, but to us, it was a total mindset reorientation and rehabilitation, after which we empower them with businesses that will run sustainably. I personally lived with them in camp, where all sorts of things were happening. We eat from the same plate. And that actually led to the true transformation that they needed. Remember, this category of people are different from regular businesses. Now, it will be difficult and tough, and it will be a tough environment for a lady to be. That's one. And many a times we see ourselves in those kind of environments. But what we've done to encourage more women in the ecosystem, for example, CBN says any intervention, anybody you are training, any business you are empowering, we want, any loan you are giving out, we want 60% to be women. PIN also have a higher percentage consideration for the female gender. Now, what we do is, the fee you pay for our training, we have it lesser for the ladies to encourage them more to come. Because business service provision has taken several new dimensions. You many at times don't physically need to be on the site all the time. You could do a lot of things at the back end if you are not at the front. You could also do a lot of training at your own offices. You could do so many other things that it's very, very much compatible with women nature. Thank you. Thank you. I think we have a comment from Yinka on this topic, who is a woman service provider.
Yes, Dr. Bomo, when you were speaking, I saw Ma'am Lodi, shaking her head. She wasn't actually nodding in approval. Yes, when we talk about number of women in the service provision business, we are not as many as we have the men. Okay, and it's not just about how rigorous the business is, but I think it's more about how much they should know that they can do. There's quite a large array of services, a bouquet of services that women can actually offer. And when you talk about the rigorosity of some particular services, there's nothing wrong with a woman taking the lead in that. We believe very much in the concept of teaming up. You can team up with a guy, and you have very opposite value to deliver, but you spell it out clearly to the male counterpart to go ahead to do. But you find some of us out there in the field, in the coastal areas. We are there on the boats, on the river. Yes, we are actually doing all of these things. So if we understand very much other services that we can also deliver, I believe with time we'll be matching up in terms of numbers. Okay, so we have female service providers doing very good jobs out there, whether it's in aquaculture, cocoa, cassava. No, we're all here. So, but the more the women, the females, whether they are married, whether they are single, I take no exception to that, whether they're married or single, it's something about capacity, information capacity, and then being available to do the task. Yes.
The men were eventually struggling to give reason why we have less women in the business of fish. I think we'll want to draw the curtain on this, if you don't mind, madam, please. We'll move straight into the next part. Thank you very much. I think let's this topic would be the following. Mr. Joshua Eden. He works in the palm oil sector. Let's put our hands together for Joseph Eden. We have Mrs. Imebo, another strong woman that works in the agro sector, and Mrs. Ninaya Eina, Para Foundation. I am glad that in this panel we have more of women than men, so we are gender sensitive. So I want to invite Gani Adetu, our colleague, to please moderate this session. Let's put our hands together for Gani. Thank you very much.
Good morning, distinguished panelists, and good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. So we will be like Bill did with the business service providers earlier on. Our discussion here will be focused on how market actors in the Niger Delta have been able to integrate commercial extension systems and improve business practices to help improve their service offering, their product offering within the Niger Delta. And close to me here is Mrs. Ninaya Enina. She's the co-facilitator and she works with Kara Foundation. We have Mrs. Ime Ebon, who is the CEO of Pest Control. Pest Control Clinic is an agro-input service company in Akwa Ibom in the Niger Delta region. And we also have Mr. Joshua Idom. I'm happy he's here, is relatively young and is involved in agriculture. He works as a commercial miller, palm oil miller in Akwa Ibom as well. So I would start off with our market actors giving us brief description about what their businesses entail. Yes, starting with Mr. Idom.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joshua Idom, and I'm a commercial miller and also a marketer of produce oil. And what we do basically is that instead of having a meal, we see how to control price. And the only way we could do that was to move beyond just processing into packaging. And so we have value for the time, have value for the commitment, have value for the quality we are ensuring, and still get this value, both in profit, down to also the suppliers. We try to ensure that the model we use is all inclusive, that supports both suppliers and still give quality to the end users.
Mrs. Ibom, if you could also help us into what you do as control.
Well, both the name has been corrected. Entaite is my local name, and Ime is my... Hello? Hello? Okay. Good name has been corrected. Entaite, not that it's not my name, it's my local name, but Ime Ebong is the official name. And I noticed my number here, my contact has a problem too. It's 080-23-789-026, please. That should be corrected. I am Ime Ebong again, and I am an agro dealer. Not by circumstance. I am a trained entomologist and a crop protectionist, and I see it a way of practicing my profession, and that has been putting me in that pigeonhole for quite a while since after my graduation. So we sell agro inputs, we offer advisory services on agro inputs. We have moved a step further to having a diagnostic laboratory, because before you can really treat, before you can really solve a problem, you need proper identification. That's why in most labs you find good treatment starts from here. Any good treatment you want starts from the laboratory. And so we have gone a little further into having a lab where we can test for diseases, the insects, to know the proper control measure. And so far, MAID has really helped us to achieve our dreams. As an agro input dealer nationally, well, I've been involved. We have our objectives. I'm the national treasurer for Nigeria Agro Input Dealers Association. We've been working on trainings, but PIN has really made the trainings, MAID has really made the trainings to scatter all over. As an individual, I worked with few farmers, hundreds of farmers, but with MAID now, we can boast of a handful of farmers in various communities, not really localized. They are all scattered in both Akwa Ibom and Cross River. I started in Cross River because by marriage I'm from Cross River, and luckily I was the state pest control officer for Cross River State. And so when I voluntarily retired, I had to set up my own outfit in Cross River, and I extended it to my birth state, which is Akwa Ibom State. So,
thank you, Ma. Moving on to, we'll get to later on into the details. Moving on to Nnenaya. Nnenaya actually is a co-facilitator, and what that means is she works with market actors. So she would briefly give us an insight into the co-facilitation role and what she does with the market actors.
Thanks, Daniel. So, as a co-facilitator, our work has been simplified through the market systems approach. What do we do? The major thing is that we now identify the market actors, which wasn't the first thing we were doing before. So now we go to identify them. When we identify them, we do baseline. Know what the needs, the actual needs are for all the market actors. I'll take cassava for an instance. You see farmers there, you see the agro dealers there as some of the market actors, you see the processors, you see aggregators, all kinds of people within the space. They all have some relationships. And originally, before the coming of MAID project and PIN projects, they didn't know that they were to have such linkages and relationships. So what we do now is when we identify them, we propose the values. What do you stand to gain if you begin to relate with this person? As a farmer, if you relate with an agro dealer, what do you stand to gain? As an agro dealer, if you make the farmers your point of contact, what do you stand to gain? So the farmer says, I will increase my yield. And the agro input person says, I will start selling my products more than I've been selling before. Even with the agro input companies, they see, oh, we have markets already with the agro dealers because they have people they sell to. So these relationships are linked. That's what we do. And then the research that we conduct, the baseline that we do when we find them is to know what are actually the reasons why they haven't been doing this before. So when those things are identified, it's captured into areas of training that PIN and MAID have been very, very active in helping people like National Records Institute to help train them. These bodies train. Even the input companies now have opportunities to train the agro dealers who usually will just sell their products. And if you ask how do I use, just read the label and you find out how to use it there. But now the agro dealers are confidently telling farmers this is the quantity of product to use on this particular size of farm, and then it will yield this and so. And so it's more confidence in the work that they all do. So this is the linkage that we are creating as co-facilitators.
Thank you very much. So taking on from that last point about input companies recognizing their trade channel partners, being agro-retailers, I'm aware that Mrs. Ebong has worked with Syngenta under the MAID program, because MAID uses the indirect approach, which is the market systems approach, which is basically market actors working together and MAID doing the facilitation. I'm privy to the information that Syngenta has worked extensively with Mrs. Ebong. So, Ma, if you could just take us through how your business has changed as a result of this relationship with Syngenta, and what's in it for you? what benefits has this new relationship with Syngenta? I know you're also working with other input companies as well. What this has given back to in terms of your business improvement? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I should say that there are two major areas. They might be very pregnant areas which could be expatiated to meet several other things. First, the portfolio of agro input supply has really increased. Because when we started, I was merely interested in the herbicides, those things related to my area, my profession really. The herbicides, insecticides, fungicides, and all that. But with the MAID program and my relationship with Syngenta, it moved to another level of seed. I saw seed as an important aspect of our operation, because if you don't have good seeds, you cannot be sure of your yield or whatsoever. And so I had to bring in seeds into my operation. And that took care of cuttings and several other seeds. So that expanded that portfolio. Another one is stimulation of the supply, agro input supply. You see, we were there, the distributors, very few, but with MAID, we could have several levels of agro input supply. You have the small retailers, small retailers, down to the various communities. Initially, we were having just people at the urban areas and all that, and not really interested in the rural. It took them so much time to come to the urban areas to get this agro input. But today, as we are speaking, we have in various communities more than 10 agro input dealers, we could say small retailers, servicing the farmers, always being there for the farmers, available for the farmers at every point in time. Another interesting thing is the spray service providers. That was really impacting. Because initially the farmers did it the way they liked. I remember the first time we entered one of the communities, we saw somebody pouring in a whole liter of Dramazone into a spray can just to spray weeds. But with the training, they got to know the right dosage, the right time of application, and several other things linked to that helped them to. And for the fact that they had those service providers, the spray service providers handy, they were not found wanting. You see them anytime they want those people that are available for them. So those were the areas that I saw were really impacting on us and the farmers all through. It cuts across. Because with that, we've been relieved of a lot of this thing. Initially, they would call you, please, can you come to our farm? Can you do? I could not be all everywhere. But now there are people at least close to the farmers to really work with them and take them to their right destinations.
So in essence, you have your own disciples, so to speak, all over.
That's it.
And in terms of bottom line, what's been the impact of this?
Well, the impact of this in terms of bottom line, at least it has increased. One thing we should know is that weeds, let's say weeds, if you don't control weeds adequately, you are sure already of losing 60% of your yield. But if adequately controlled, you are sure of that 60% as yield plus any other. Because wheat competes a lot with crops. So we are, with what is happening, I know that yields have been tripled and in some cases quadrupled.
So farmers recognizing that yields have increased and you have the supply of what has it been for you in terms of sales?
Well, it has increased my sales. It has increased my sales, and at the same time, I'm happy that I have people at least to also take over from me whenever I'm no more.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to Joshua, if you could quickly also tell us, has this changed over the last 5 years in terms of the acquisition of the improved meal and the relationship with the other market actors, being the smallholder farmers? And what's the impact of all of this? Why are you in it? Why are you doing it?
Okay, since it's story time today, I would like to share my story. Okay, I was saying once I was blind, but now I can see. And so I'll start my story by, at the age of 8, I lost my mom. And so 2 years later, I got into secondary school. So I spent more time with my aunt, my mom's younger sister. And my school was in my community, somewhere in the Timikpo local government area. So I go to Kanapon, from there I trek, and I stay there with her. And then I see her process palm oil from time to time, carry palm fruits from my head down to the house, take it to the mill, process, and then bring it back home. And then struggles to wait for the market day before she can sell. She sells, she comes back and says, oh, I didn't sell at a good price. Right? And I'm like, you process the palm oil, how come you don't tell them how much you want to sell this palm oil? They say, it's what they say you want to buy, is how you sell. And I'm like, I don't understand this kind of business. I go into a supermarket, you want to buy biscuits, the price is there, you buy what the producer think you should buy. So how come in palm oil, you that is buying tells me what you want to buy from me? I don't understand. So that was the first issue I started experiencing. So she was living in a circle, going round and round, and nothing was changing. And then she did it as a culture, not as a business. So I looked at these few things. And then moving to the challenge, what challenge did I experience? So I wanted to change this scenario for not just my aunt, but for every other person. So while at the university, sometime in 2014, I had two things in mind. One was to increase my own financial status. Right? I wanted to make money. I wanted to be independent. And the second was to see how to change this scenario for my aunt. So I started making research, and I went to NIPO 2015. I went to NIPO Benin. And I saw I heard there were new machineries. That was the first time I saw the new machineries. I've not seen it anywhere before. And I was like, oh, there's machines like this in Nigeria. How come it's not somewhere in Akwa Ibom? And when I inquired about the price was actually on the high side. And so it looked as if it was impossible. It was about 2 tons capacity there, so the price was about 2-point-something million or so. And I didn't have such money, I didn't have land anyway. So even if I buy the machine now, how do I keep the machine? There's no money for land and all that. That was another challenge. The next was 2015. I tried applying for the Student Entrepreneurship Program, and I shared my story. And I got the first seed capital from the Student Loan Foundation. That was about 1,025,000 naira. So it was not even up to the cost of the machineries. But sometime in 2017 or 2016 December, I heard about the technology adoption grant. A friend of mine told me about it, and I went online, I read about it, I looked for it online, I downloaded the module and read about it, I submitted, I applied. And I got a call that, oh, Joshua, you've been one of those that could access this funding. And then 2017, we installed the machinery. I spoke to my then proprietor of the secondary school I went to, so he had the space, and I told him, this is what this is going to do, it's going to be beneficial. We're going to train more farmers, we're going to increase capacity. He has expanse of palm plantation. I said, sir, with this mill, you can increase your own capacity too, in terms of production. And so, through this, I got a land space and I installed the machinery. But then, I still struggle to Before then, I was still buying in wholesale and reselling. So I was still struggling to sell, even if I was saving and then selling at when the price go high. So I started thinking, how do I control pricing? And then the next thing came, why don't you brand, why don't you package, right? So I started branding, I started packaging. Not like this at first, we grew to this point. And I saw with that, I could sell my product in the market and keep a price to it because people were ready to get quality. People wanted something they could trust. A lady didn't want to go to the market and then buy palm oil, and then palm oil of 200 naira or 500 naira spoils the taste of a soup of 4 5, right? You make a relate. So they wanted a palm oil brand they could always trust, and if anything happens, you know, this brand, I got it from this brand. I didn't just go to the market. Today you buy from Mama and Kechi, tomorrow you are buying from, and you don't want to be testing all the oil in the market, right? So I wanted to give a trusted brand, and so we built a brand beyond just processing of palm oil. Now, why would farmers want to process?
In building this brand, how did you then work with other market actors?
Okay.
Most especially the smallholder farmers. And relating to your aunt's case, how did you bring people like that in building this brand?
Okay, I'm coming to that. So I discovered, first of all, I identified the market. What was different? I identified the market first. So there was a premium market that no one was serving. People wanted quality. Identified our market. And then the next was the model. One of the challenges we have is you need quite a number of palm fruits. I don't have plantation anywhere, even up to date. So how do I meet this meal? So the next was I need these farmers. I need the smaller farmers. Now the smaller farmers, there's quite huge number of increase on both sides.
Increase what?
Increase in revenue, increase in also the yield of palm oil processed. So like now, in a bunch of palm fruit, it's about 20 bunches, which averagely sometimes gives you about, sometimes you get 20 liters, sometimes you get 5 liters, or a bit above, depending on the species of palm fruit. But with the improved technology, right, with the low species, you get about between 35 liters, or a bit more close to 40 liters. So I think there's increase both of yield and also revenue selling through packaging and branding.
Sorry, please, just an announcement. Car owner, a Toyota Camry. Sorry.
When I first visited you in Akwa Ibom, there's a small shop along the Church Road. I can't remember the name of the road, but I know now you have a big warehouse that stocks not only Syngenta's products, but you are the first port of call for all major agro-input companies. So we've seen that this relationship with farmers, the marketing strategies have helped to expand your business. But do we have other businesses, similar businesses, copying or adopting the model that you're using in the agro-input space? And how many of such do we have, both in Akwa Ibom and Cross River when you operate?
Well, we have several now because most of them train under us. Most of them trained under us, and we have been able to diversify in agro-input dealership because there are several avenues to explore as far as agro-input. It's not just selling the agrochemicals. There is this extension side of it because we should have extension services. And we've developed a lot of people in extension services, at least to work with the farmers, identify their problems and put their problems across to us and some other trained people in that regard. Outside the extension services also, like I've said, we started the diagnostic thing. And we have agents in the various communities too, because before you diagnose, the specimen must come in good condition. And so we have agents in most of these communities to pick up the specimens the way they are, it should be, and present, because if this is allowed to the farmers alone, they wouldn't know how best to present this. And another one, the selling aspect of it. I've said so many people are getting interested in agro inputs dealership. Everywhere they feel there's so much money in it, and you see people scrambling for Africa as far as that is concerned. So a lot of things are really coming up as a result of this intervention and the relationship with me. We met in a small office, but now we have a warehouse, and we are also developing an agro center. We want to have a kind of one-stop shop where you have other services that's in the agro center. You have several other things put together so that a farmer coming into the agro center should be able to pick whatsoever he or she wants. And like our motto goes, it's the last bus stop for farmers. And really we want to make it last bus stop for any farmer in terms of any problem, anything pertaining to agrochemicals, pesticides in particular.
Impressive. It's amazing how far you've, I think she deserves a round of applause. It's amazing how far you've come just by working with input companies and realizing that the smallholder farmers represent a commercial market segment that she could tap into. For Nenaya, given your role as a co-facilitator, I would like you to talk on what strategies the market actors have used in engaging with farmers and what others could learn from. Yes, please.
Thank you. With the farmers, we see the agro dealers and the input companies running demos for them. Because they say seeing is believing. And it's an important thing when you're dealing with farmers especially. They need to see what is that thing that can happen with this thing they're talking about. They are curious, so they come out to participate and see the demos, watch them grow, do the same in their homes. At least Mr. Melbourne is here, who was one of the people who did that on the field. And when they see that that was what was happening, the improvements in yield. Some of them who, in fact, let me tell you this story. When you go into the communities, you find some farmers that are not interested in the training at all. That they think is a waste of time. But the demos are attractive. There's something they want to come and see. And from that, they see the changes. Those changes must definitely be seen, because on the demos, you have all the practices that are required for good agronomic practice in cassava production. So when they go, they learn, they go and do it on their own farms. And good thing, we always try to put the demo activities during the planting season so that the farmers, as they learn, can do along with the demos. So what those who have come have seen is the increase in the yield, and those who refuse to come, who see that their contemporaries have more, are now beginning to copy. So every time you have one person who is teaching a minimum of 3 persons from what they have learned. This is the thing that the agro dealers and input companies have been doing. And then we also go into seed multiplication. That was very key in the intervention of MAID and PIM. Because what we had all over the Niger Delta were stems from our great-grandfathers that were tired, were no longer resilient to the environment and the things that we were seeing. So with National Root Crop Institute, there, churning out new varieties every day, very, very powerful varieties every day that would have very good yield, resist every environmental factor. The agro dealers were trained to multiply these things. It's a science, it's a process. They went through it the way it should be. They learned everything, they did the demo there, and they went out to do it on their own farm. So I'm talking to you across the Niger Delta, we have over 10,000 VSEs, village entrepreneurs, from both maize and pig. They are multiplying stems and then ensuring that farmers have access to quality planting materials. It would interest you to know that these planting materials, when they are of good quality, guarantees about 30% increase in yield. So if I choose not to add fertilizer and I only plant my improved variety stem, I can have good yield of 30%. So every other practice would be an addition to it. So these are the things they are doing. And it's an additional income for the agro dealer who now also sells improved stems. He makes more money. If you go to them, they will tell you there's more money in the seed of cassava than the use. Okay, so that's one point. Another is the SSP program that she talked about. The agro dealers have even gone further to train young people within the community who now provide spray services for fees. So they charge you, instead of you, if you don't want to learn, no problem. There are people who have learned, who provide the service for you, you pay. And your farm will be doing as well as the person who has applied it to your farm. And this comes across the United Delta states where this cassava intervention has gone on. Directly, over 23 farmers have been reached with these powerful skills. And they are applying it. And they are multiplying it. So it's something that I think that is very replicable. Anybody who is a farmer can hook up to agro dealer around the environment and receive both advisory services, both the products they can use to increase their yield. And the agro dealers, because the Niger Delta is filled with farmers, I mean, however you look at it, we are almost all farmers. So there's huge market for the agro dealers. All they need to do is to convince people this is what to do, this is how to do it, and we're always there for you, we'll provide the services for you. So these are the things that we have been taking to them as co-facilitators. So we talk to, when we see farmers, we talk to them, but now we don't even have time to talk to farmers because the agro dealers, we take them, the ones who are making the money, go and talk to them, find them and talk to them, because one day we will not be there to be seeing you and your farmers, but you'll always be there to sell your products and make your money and your business goes on. So this is what we're encouraging them to continue to do, and these are the models that we are, even for other civil society organizations like us, you know, traditionally what we do usually used to be direct service delivery. So we look for donor or a partner, an individual that is rich that can give us money to go and buy fertilizer and share to farmers, buy stems and share to those that hold storage. Nobody does that anymore. And if I find you can translate that to even health programs, just find out who is demanding what service, who can provide it. Link them together, let them run on their own, and you can monitor them do it. And take some part of that success. That's what we're doing.
Thank you very much. In addition to the demo that you talked about, which is the seeing is believing, I'm also aware that some others use radio jingles, they use agents to go around in getting to farmers. But increasingly, we're seeing the use of technology as well, especially for the youth, which is the attractive for anyone that wants to deal with youth of nowadays. Then you have to be tech savvy. So I would go back to Joshua to please share with us experience on how you're integrating the use of technology in mobilizing youth and other farmers to improve their business practices in the region.
Okay, apart from palm processing, I also developed strategy for an agri-tech company in Akwa Ibom State, Organism Partners. And we've actually developed the software. FarmX is on Google Play Store. You can download the software. And what the software does is that because we looked and identified, I personally also understand that in the agricultural sector, a lot of young people are not engaging there. And if they must engage, then you must drive it the way they like it. And so we started considering technology. And on FarmX, we are a service provider, like the fish multiplier can sign up on FarmX and then put the services out there. A student who needs to enter can actually sign up on platform X and says he wants to go for an internet service and is being matched to a service provider on that platform. On that same platform, you can actually sell your produce. You also promote your produce there. Someone sees it and also requests for it. Beyond that, how are we reaching people local farmers using technology? We have what we call the interactive voice response number. It's actually a number where you call only in the video dialect for now. When you call the number, so you don't have a smartphone, but you have a normal mobile phone. You can call 080-2181-0028. Once you call that number, it routes you to an interactive voice response number. So you say, oh, if you want to do in a Bible, if you want to start a farm, press 1. If you want to get these seedlings, so you press 2. And when you press that, it routes you back to our office, the back end office, where we now link it to either, we have a lot of partnership structure with, still working in partnership with the federal ministry, where they can link their service providers, the extension workers in these rural areas to that platform, so farmers can reach them through that number. Even if you call the number now, it routes you to that direct box. We do that. And how do we also make them aware of the opportunities in the industry? We make it quite interesting. So we started Oil Palm Day celebration every May 2nd, because May is actually the big period for palm oil, May, June. So we say, okay, why don't you have an interaction where stakeholders, young people come to know about the opportunities in the industry, and we do it very interesting. On the 1st of May, we do a palm oil cooking competition, where students in university can actually cook, make recipes. We've been eating fried rice. Where did fried rice come from? Nobody knows. We've been eating different kind of food, and most of them were foreign meals. What have we invented from our local delicacies? Making it interesting for young people. Started palm oil cooking competition. Very interesting. We do oil palm tours to reach the farmers locally in their community. So we do oil palm tours, go to different communities, and make sure that they are aware of this technology, can use it, can connect to us through that technology. And this is done actually through partnership, because I don't have the capacity, but we partner with the company who has the capacity and is actually doing this. Those in other value chain can also partner and use this technology to scale up.
Okay, just before we were almost rounding up this session, just before we go to the audience for questions, I want you to please share with us what key lessons have you learned in adopting these practices in improving your businesses that you think others will learn from and also adopt to help them also achieve the goal of improving their businesses and increasing incomes with smallholder farms. So we'll start with Joshua, Mrs. Ebon, then Nenaya will help us from the perspective of a co-facilitator.
Okay, for me the key lesson is what led me to having the MMM approach. Most of us go about MMM, but this is not the kind of MMM I'm talking about. The MMM approach is actually the market, model, and money approach. First of all, why most people struggle, I know, is because they go into production without identifying a market. Right? So you have someone, we have a lot of them in our farms, they don't produce cucumber in large quantity, and all of them got mature at the same time. And then it was difficult to sell and everything got wrong, and then they say they're not doing agriculture again because agriculture is not interested. But what we did was to identify the market first. That's what we did first. Identify the premium market, who want to sell our packaged palm oil to, and then came back to develop a model that can work. So that was the next thing we did, a model, an inclusive model that also captures the suppliers. Make sure you have enough supply so that you can control your cost of production. Make sure the technology you're using is okay to control your cost of production. Once your cost of production is in place, right, we have a lot of these farmers using their children to process palm oil, and they're not capturing that cost, right, so they can sell as they go. But when you're able to do this and understand the cost, you now know what to sell, then that was the next thing. The next one is the importance of money, right? Sometimes you have large quantity of, people say, okay, give me 20 tons of this, give me this quantity of palm oil, give me 100 gallons. If there's no money to drive the system, to drive the scale, you might not be able to move forward. But how do you get this money? You must, from the beginning of the business, start putting things in place. Keep your records straight. Get your standard operating procedures. Because whenever you want to access funding, these things are required. So when we do business without taking into consideration these key things, when it gets to the point of getting money, you can't access funding because your business was not actually properly operated. So these things are captured, I think you would scale your business. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I've had some key lessons, and starting from the farmers, you need to show them that they can have benefits from anything they are introducing for them to follow you. Because if you can't demonstrate and prove that what you are taking to them has one benefit or the other, they will not join you in that direction. Because they want to see and know the benefits they will derive from every operation you are getting into. Like the pre-emergence herbicide, for instance, initially, farmers will tell you that they can never use a pre-emergence herbicide. It was tug of war introducing them to the use of pre-emergence herbicide. But by the time they started using the pre-emergence herbicide, they stayed for some months. Like the cassava farmers, some, if they apply correctly, could stay for about 6 months without having weeds. And that alone gave them a big relief and reduced the drudgery in farming. Secondly, I also learned that the farmers are like fishes. Those who are interested in fishing, you need to bait them. It's still along the line. You need to bait the hook in order to catch any farmer. Because even in the trainings, once you don't have something to attract them to trainings, you're on your own. When they see bottles of minerals coming in, even if they didn't want to come in for training, you see them rushing in for that training. So we have seen that we need something to attract farmers to training. If not, if it's for training alone, coming in to receive knowledge and all that, yes, they're interested in knowing those things, but they need an additional thing to really bring them out. One other thing is that the suppliers, you know, they want to see what financial benefits they will attract from any relationship. And by the relationship we had, most suppliers who were not known in several of the communities have been known today. Like Syngenta, for instance. Syngenta was a rare name in the communities. First, maybe because of the products, the high cost of the products and all that. Nobody talked about Syngenta. But when they saw the value of Primestra, you know, people started chorusing Syngenta. And that also attracted markets to Syngenta. So a lot of lessons we have learned, and we hope to work on that platform to take us to another level.
Okay, very quickly, there are three key lessons I have learned. One is that co-facilitation and the market systems process increases reach. Like, we were only working in the state, but we could only reach a few persons within the state. But through this market systems approach, we're working across the 9 Niger Delta states, and we're reaching more people with even less resources, if you like. Because you can imagine how many bags of fertilizer can you share to all the farmers. But now a farmer can go and buy. He knows where to buy. he can go and ask. He knows where to ask. That's a major thing. So there's more reach. The reach is beyond what one can actually measure. Then it's sustainable because businesses are stimulated in ways that we didn't even think were possible. So you can find even lead farmers wanting to become aggregators because they see there are cassava farmers and I can just put their products together and help them to sell. So what am I saying? The sustainability is too much. We don't have to be there. Even as MAID is going, and we're saying, oh, MAID has finished their project. What seeds that in these 6 years have planted will continue to be sustained because the businesses, the people doing the businesses have seen what they are gaining. So they're not about to drop it in a hurry and go. And that's what co-facilitation has supported to do. Then I'm going to just put this final one. People now have access to original products, especially when we talk about agro inputs, before they flood the market with all kinds of things. But I assure you, the agro dealers that we have engaged with will no longer easily go into any kind of market to buy products because they know that they have access to input companies that are they can hold on to if there's anything that goes wrong. So they know where to get the good products and they can guarantee that to their farmers. And everybody is happy in the value chain eventually. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the floor is open for few questions. We'll take 2-3 questions.
My name is Chris Okafor. I work with the Dutch Foundation called the Sustainable Trade Initiative. We are currently coming into oil palm, discussing with maids to see how we can start where they stop. So it's not make it done, and that's the end of it. So I want to say something here, really exciting. You have left your footprints, commendable footprints. Please, can we join in giving them a good round of applause? Listen to Joshua. Obviously, you are doing what we are looking at. Come from the markets and see you as anchor for smallholders. That's very commendable. Appreciate that. And for the agro dealer, that's another good footprint. But I want to ask you a simple question. We know in oil palm, it is really heavy thing to provide and source inputs. It's quite expensive. So how are we going to cope with this, working with smallholders who are not able to afford the cost of those inputs, fertilizer, and agrochemicals? Thank you.
Okay, right?
Anyone from the panel, please.
Okay, both of us. Okay, for me, the farmer's yield is actually important to me, right? The higher the yield, the more palm fruit they can supply to me, and I process and also sell to market. So, like what we did, we talked about the inclusive business model. So, whenever I'm working with farmers, I work with them in cooperatives. Like we have some cooperatives here represented. I work with oil palm plantation owners in Akwa State. I work with them in Akwa State as a cooperative. And what we did is that we tried to give out a microcredit loan that could help them in form of inputs, and they can also pay back that loan in form of output, maybe processed palm oil or palm fruits. So that way they get cash to get those necessary inputs they need for their yield, and then they are sure that there's a market they're going to sell to through Joseph oil. Another thing again we did was during our oil palm days in the region, we had we partnered with MAID, and with that partnership they were able to bring Mastercare, who came and also had they split their fertilizers and did some demo plots, and then showed that there are smaller sizes of fertilizers that these farmers could actually access. So instead of getting these fertilizers in large quantity, they could get them in smaller quantities. Now bringing in technology, with the company I partner with, they offer what they call Ag Sensor Drone Service. What the drone does is that it flies over your farm, depending on the the good level of the farm, and then take note of points where you need to fertilize. Sometimes we are wasting when it comes to application of fertilizer. So the drone sensor, it captures the NVI of the farm and tells you, oh, you need to apply fertilizer here, and here. Precision farming. Instead of you just applying fertilizer across board and then wasting your money. When what you need here is maybe nitrogen. Nitrogen is less here. So you're able to be specific in terms of application of fertilizer. That way you'll be able to cut down the cost of fertilizer when it comes to smaller farmers and improving their yield. That's what I have to say.
Thank you very much. Can we take the next question?
In the agro input, I think the major problem is the packaging. And we have worked to a point that most of those expensive chemicals have that small quantity package so that the farmers can be able to afford. I also work with cooperatives. When it's too difficult for them, we give them the inputs and they pay back after harvest. So we try to do that to relieve them and make them a bit comfortable and find farming pleasurable. So those are the little things we try to do. But I think the main thing is having, like he said, in fertilizer, some people cannot afford the 50 kg based on the farm size. So they resort to the smaller. We have 2 kg, we have 1 kg now, we have 5 kg, we have 10 kg. So that meets every pigeonhole in farming. So that's it.
Thank you very much.
My name is Dr. Blessing Okwegwe. I'm a hydrobiologist and a lecturer in fisheries. Please, I want to ask a question. When it comes to training your farmers in the use of agrochemicals, especially the herbicide and the fertilizer, do you incorporate the awareness about the dangers of using excessive or these chemicals in excess? Now, he said something that that made me happy: use of drones. You see, where you detect where there's lead, like NPK simply means nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium fertilizer. A soil may not be phosphorus deficient, and you apply NPK, having excess of phosphorus. Now we need to know that a lot of them are washed by rains into the river, into our waterways, and we need to have in mind that we are battling with climate change. So those are the things. So when we expose them to this thing, I want to know what measures do you put in place to educate them. You said they know where to go and get fertilizer, they can get it, use it anyhow. Yeah, it increases the cost of production, and then we are polluting the environment. So they need to know. So I don't know what you're doing. If you have measures, fine, that's good. But if not, it's very important.
Okay, I'd like to rest what I've done. If you were there from the beginning, I explained that before these market systems happened, people didn't know how to, even the agro dealers selling the products, most of them are not as enlightened or as trained as they should be in handling those products. But with the coming of this intervention, where we have to identify people who had skills in it, to train people who didn't. So agro dealers, every agro dealer that we have had to engage in this process gets trained. And what do they do? When they go to the farm, they will tell farmers what specific quantity of what product, either the herbicides or the fertilizers, to apply on a particular size of farm. Because we're also talking about reduced cost in production and increasing yield. So it's no longer how a farmer can just bring a tin of tomato, use it to be scooping fertilizer and going around the farm. There's a specific measurement, and everyone who comes to the farm will testify, I have seen how to use this, and it's even cheaper for me because I used to use more, even in stems, that the bundle of stems on a particular farm size has reduced more than it was before. So these are very important reasons why the training goes on. We encourage farmers to come out and train because it's that training that brings the change. So everyone who has that new skill from the training is guaranteed to do a new thing than what we were doing before. So I'll hand over to Mrs. Emile.
Thank you very much for that question. I'm an entomologist. And by the definition of entomology, it is study of insects, control of the injurious organisms, and the protection of the beneficial ones. So you have it there. And when you talk of the protection of the beneficial ones, you're already talking about the environment. So in every training we have, I think the bottom line is always safety. Disposal, how you dispose, how you mix, how you decant, and all that. There are those rules on safety. And of course, you should note that this environmental complications we are talking about is in the rational use of pesticides. So we teach them the rational use of pesticides. And what's the rational use of pesticides? It borders on the principle of selectivity. It starts from the choice, good choice of your chemicals, how to apply, what time to apply, and all those things. So once that is taken care of, you know that the environment will be safe. So we put all that as a package. Thank you.
I think we will try to...
Sorry, Mr. Fidelis, just work with reputable agro-input companies and member of CropLife Nigeria. And CropLife is, the main mandate of CropLife is to ensure safe and responsible use of crop protection products. And the essence of the demonstrations is actually to prevent what you just raised, which is getting farmers to learn about safe and responsible use of crop protection products, and most importantly, the integrated pest management. So it's not only about the chemical method, but also the biological and cultural practices. For example, if people reach, then this reduces weed growth, which you then do not have to use chemicals to control. So it's integrated management of controlling pests in farming and in the farming space. Thank you.
Because some people are already leaving, let me hand over the mic to you.
All right. My question is stemming out from the question the gentleman asked earlier. Simply put, you talked about providing finance or microcredit to the farmers in cooperative groups, and my question is, which financial institution actually supports that activity you mentioned? I think it also goes to Madam too.
Okay, yeah, for me, for now, we've not scaled to the point where we're giving a huge sum of money when there's a particular financial institution that supports that activity. Why? I've had engagement with different financial institutions, even some microfinance banks in Akwa Ibom. We've done, even with the CBN, the Development Finance Office, I've had engagement with them. But as a businessman, we're thinking what will work for us at the point where we want to do it. Now, what works for us is, I need supply of palm fruits. And then I've seen one of my visits with them, who is also a member of oil palm plantation owners, who met a farmer who got a loan of about 50,000 naira. She was just saying it normally. And then she said she was paying 3,750 every week. I just paid that money for 30 weeks. Immediately I did the calculation myself. Right? And she was paying over 100% on credit. And she was happy that she got the loan of 50,000 because the money came in bulk. And she was paying it in a way, in a payment form. She's not financially literate. And these banks are not really ready to go out and educate these people. We are the ones that need them because they're part of our value chain. So we need to go the extra mile and even start doing what they're supposed to do. Educate them, support them with the finance that will make them productive. So these are people we support our micro companies that have worked with us over time. So we've built trusted relationships, right? They supply us and also, okay, take this 50,000 naira, get what you want to get here, and then return back in this form. Either you pay in cash, what you can, or you pay in
in form of products. So that is what we do basically. There's no financial institution at the moment that is supporting what I do with my. Thank you.
I think at this point, let's round up, please, because people are already leaving. I will encourage us that immediately after here, we have opportunities to network and do some business deals. You can meet them, ask questions, and find out what you can benefit, and in terms of taking forward some of our initiatives. So at this point, I want to invite our team leader and Bill to join them in a group photograph.
Thank you all so much for coming. I'm sure it has been a very productive session for you. Quite educative. We've seen all that MADE has been able to accomplish. Not just the last 2 years, but over the last 7 years. And I want to say that for us in Payne Foundation, it's been a wonderful, a rewarding relationship, partnership with Payne. We have grown together over the years, learning about the Niger Delta region, trying to understand the issues, designing solutions that are bespoke for the region, and working with all you great people to do these great things happening. And so it is sort of emotional, mixed emotions for us. MADE is closing. But we'll miss MADE so much. Like when your twin brother or twin sister is living or going to school somewhere and you're left behind. You come back and you're like, how am I going to cope? You do everything together. I mean, practically we've done everything together. Research, same partners, compare notes, what is happening. Okay, sometimes, even the competition has been very healthy, and it's been very innovative. So for them to go now, it's really with mixed feelings. They're my friends, all of them. We have really bonded. And so, to watch them go, to see them go, I don't want to cry. But the good news is, we are here. Payne is still here. We have been meeting with a lot of you. So we know most of you. We've been working together. We'll keep engaging with a lot of you. We hope to carry forward some of the interventions, those that we haven't really been working together, going forward. We're here. We'll continue to work. And we know that our colleagues in MADE are not just leaving us, we'll continue to engage with them. There will be opportunities for us to keep working together, we know. The development sector is a very small sector, we know ourselves. And they have been very professional, and they have actually been very collaborative and cooperative. And so we thank you all. The networking is continuing after this. And I'm sure obviously we're going to have lunch. And so, in our usual Niger Delta way, I want us to stand up and say 3 gozas to MADE. That's one of our usual unique ways of hailing people that have done good work in our communities. So let us start. The first goza. I know. Okay, number 1. The first goza. We have been working in aquaculture, trying to improve productivity around fish farming. Not just fish farming, also cassava. I know what fufu does. So when there is fufu and gari and you eat it and then eat it with fish, you get a lot of energy to do a lot more work. So this second goza, I want you to take your fish and your apple and cassava. Get enough energy and now do the second goza. Oh yeah? Goza! Alright. So we now add chicken to the mix. When you eat chicken, you feel a lot more relaxed, you're happy. So it all balance very well. And with ASIP, we're doing pineapple, we're doing vegetables, we're doing so very well balanced. So this final goza will bring everything to bear. Let us give it to May. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. Thank you, May.